Let's talk about this new 4K UHD release of the 1988 horror comedy Sleepaway Camp Part 2, Unhappy Campers. Now, this is a sequel to the 1983 horror film Sleepaway Camp. As you can see, Scream Factory has previously released the first one only on Blu-ray, and the other one, this one has actually been released to Blu-ray as well, and this one and the third one have been out of print on Blu-ray for quite some time, and it's kind of been a lot of people's kind of Grell films, and the Blu-rays have been selling for fairly high prices. I'm not sure if they still are at this point, but those were some that were hard to get. But now they do have a 4K release of 2 and also Sleepaway Camp 3 that you can get through Scream Factory. And we're going to get into these. We're not going to get into this one yet. I'm going to do a separate video on Sleepaway Camp 3, but today we're going to talk about Sleepaway Camp 2. We're going to talk about this physical release. We're going to talk a little bit about this 4K transfer. We're going to talk about the movie itself, my impressions of it. I'm eventually going to rate the film and Scream Factory's release as well. I'm Dave Watkins, Watkins Films. Now, this is fairly hilarious franchise, Sleepaway Camp. Even the first one, it has a little bit of a comedic tone, but by the time they got to this one, this is borderline horror spoof, and it is quite hilarious. It doesn't go, like say, it doesn't go like student bodies or scary movie type of spoof, but it does get somewhat meta. And at the time, both Friday the 13th and the Nightmare on Elm Street franchises were kind of heading in that horror comedy meta direction, and they include like Freddy Krueger's Claw and Jason's Mask, which is a kind of a knockoff of it. They don't actually identify it, but they also have some references to Texas Chainsaw Massacre as well, which also went the comedy route by this point. Now, I do remember back in the day seeing this cover here. As you can see, if you go to the Scream Factory site, you can also purchase this with a poster of Sleepaway Camp 2. Now, this is the original poster art, and I remember seeing this back in the day in the video store. I remember seeing all of them, even like 3. And the first one had this is what the first one looked like. It was like a shoe on a knife, and that's a fairly iconic cover. I really like that. That was all 3 of them at the time really grabbed my attention. I think at the time I was too young to watch the films, but here on the cover. This is not the same actress that's in the film. This is like a model. Apparently, they weren't able to get the actress for some reason when they went to go shoot the film, so they just got another model. I always thought she looks fairly hot, really, on the cover of that. I've always kind of thought that, and I do like the actress that they actually have play the character as well. She has great comedic timing. Now, it is a replacement. Now, the very first movie, Sleepaway Camp, this one the character Angela is played by Felissa Rose, and she's a lot younger in that one than she is in these. Of course, it was 1983. Apparently, when I've seen different reports of this. I'm not sure which is true, but I've seen some reports that they maybe approached Felissa Rose and she couldn't do it because she had commitments with. I think she was in college at the time. I've read that, but also during this, there's some special features on here that don't necessarily address that directly, but they do say that they were looking for somebody with comedic timing, and that was why they picked Pamela Springsteen to play the Angela character. Pamela Springsteen is Bruce Springsteen's sister, but at the same time she does a great work here, and she plays the character Angela in this one and the second one. Now, there are 2 other films in this franchise. I've never seen the other 2. One's called Return to Sleepaway Camp, and that one has Felissa Rose back in it some, and the original director. And I haven't seen that one, but I've heard really bad things about it. And there's also a Sleepaway Camp 4 that they only shot half the film, and I think they got canceled, and then they ended up like years later, like a long time later, like re-editing it and taking footage from the second and third film, and then making it into a kind of a clip show feature. But that one's, I would assume, is really bad as well, but I've never seen it. Let's get into the character of Angela. Now, I think this is absolutely hilarious, and it is like really offensive now, but back then it was like, back in the day, you would have this scary thought of like a man acting like he's a woman, and that's a scary thought because like someone pretending like someone that they're not is pretty scary when you find out that especially when that person is a killer. But now I guess it is kind of I don't think it's offensive, but people don't find it. They don't want to do this anymore. They did it in the Silence of the Lambs too, fairly effectively. But here, so what happens in the first one? Felissa Day plays him, Angela, who's really a boy at the end. You find out, and she's the one who's been killing everybody. Now, most of that film is told through, like, when someone gets killed, it's like killer point of view. So you don't know who's doing the killing until the end. And there's this like really awesome scene at the end where all of a sudden, like, she has all her clothes off, and you see her it's actually a guy with a face mold of the actress on his face, like doing this crazy face like that, and of course she got like a dick and all that. So you see that, and it's very like shocking to see that on screen, and it's really unsettling, really, because of the way that the face looks. And then it cuts to a close up of the actual actress doing that face. And Felissa Rose, if you follow her on Instagram, and if you've ever seen her at any cons, she goes to the comic conventions all the time, and it's fairly famous for this role. But she signs autographs and all that, and does that face. She poses with people, and she does that face. It's pretty awesome that she does that, and she really embraces it. Unfortunately, that actress is not in these two, but we do get Pamela Springsteen, and she is fantastic in both of the films. But in Sleepaway Camp 2, so at the beginning of it, now close to the beginning, they do kind of explain. Now, the character's apparently now one of the camp counselors here, going by a different last name, and nobody knows that she's the same Angela. And she has a psychotic break while she's a counselor. She's like kind of gone through. It's explained. It's explained like through this. They have this campfire scene, and they're telling campfire ghost stories. And apparently, one of the guys, his dad worked for the sheriff's department. He actually knows a lot about what really happened. And so the Angela character went to jail, and she got rehabilitated. And he says, with our tax money, he got a sex change operation, and now he's fully functional as a female. But he doesn't know that she's the camp counselor here at this camp. But she is now the camp counselor. And as the film goes on, she starts killing people at the camp. Now, there's a lot more kill scenes in this one than there is in the original Sleepaway Camp. A lot of people in the first Sleepaway Camp film, a lot of the characters don't get killed. Here is a little bit different story. This is closer to some of the Friday the 13th films that in the Nightmare on Elm Street films, like later on, where we actually have the final girl character having to fight and stuff to that nature. But this one it's pretty gruesome. It does go more comedic and a little funnier, but it's very mean-spirited at times, but it is a lot of fun, and some of these death scenes are friggin' fantastic. They had a fairly low budget for the special effects, and there's actually like a really awesome interview on this disc. It's a brand new interview with the special effects artist, and it's friggin' fantastic. He talks about what all he went through and how he's doing things on the fly, and really for what the movie is, I think the special effects are fairly effective. I think they're fairly impressive, and the ideas behind some of those are it's friggin' hilarious, but it's also very, very disturbing as well. Another thing about the character of Angela that I think is deeply hilarious, that the character was, her aunt is the one who made her become a girl, or made him become a girl, because in the first one, like what happened when, this is all done in flashback in the first film, like at the end, like this crazy aunt, friggin' lunatic, she ends up having to adopt the boy that Angela is, but she's like, I already have a boy, so we're gonna make you be a girl. And so she basically makes him start to act like a girl until he starts to think that he's a girl, and this causes a psychotic break within this character that turns him into, or her, into a serial killer. But in this one, you don't ever see Angela without any clothes on, so you don't get to see like if she still has a dick or not have a dick. So but you don't get to see that, but you do get to see a lot of female nudity in this film. It is fairly nice. A lot of you see a lot of these women, a lot of the characters take off their clothes. There's some pretty good sex scenes as well, so it does have that in there, and it's all played fairly like pretty much for laughs in a kind of like Porky's type of way. I think it plays really well within the film. I think some modern audiences might frown upon the flashing. She pulls her shirt up and flashes them, and there they are. But there's like one of them takes off her bra, and the guy throws her into the pool, and she comes up, and there's no bra on to a white t-shirt, wet t-shirt contest sort of thing. But there's a lot of that type of awesomeness in this film. Now this one doesn't have the raw edge of the first one. The first one plays it a little more serious, though I think it's really funny, even though it is not supposed to be. But the second one here, it really embraces the absurdity and it really amps it up in a fantastic way that starts in the script. The script for this is fantastic, or it is quite a lot of fun, and I can see why the people who worked on it wanted to do it, and why they had, from their account, for the most part, seem to have had a really awesome time. Now, this is what Scream Factory has this new release. It is a 4K Ultra HD release, and unfortunately, this one does not have a Blu-ray disc in it. All it does is have a 4K in it. Now, most of the time, when Scream Factory releases these, they'll have both a Blu-ray and a 4K. Now, Arrow Video often only has a 4K or only has a Blu-ray, so you have to get both of them. This is kind of rare for Scream Factory to do this, and I'm not really, I don't like it that there's not a Blu-ray in here. I'm not really a big fan of there not being a Blu-ray in here, but this is what it looks like there. But if you buy this off of the Scream Factory site directly, you can get this bundle that includes the posters. I believe it's still available. They'll eventually run out and you won't be able to get them, but it includes these posters and also alternate slipcovers. Now, these alternate slipcovers, I really like the artwork. Now, let's take a look at this. This is the Sleepaway Camp 2 slipcover, the alternate one, and you got Angela in the middle holding a chainsaw. This is great. And on the back, you got this one of the shit sisters with leeches on her. I think that's what one of the shit sisters. Anyway, some character with leeches all over her. This is some great artwork. I really appreciate that. And on the inside of this is not even a film that's supposed to be in here. It's Prince of Darkness. This is just one I had on my shelf, and I was like, I need something to put this in. This is unrelated to this. I figured I'd just show you what was in there. But let's see what's in this other one. Now, this one, on the other hand, is the 4K UHD release of Sleepaway Camp 2. And as you can see, it has the same cover art there. Now, let's see if there is a reverse on this, and there's not. It's just going to be white on the back side of it, unfortunately. It would have been cool if they did a reverse of the new alternate release. And as you can see, there's only a 4K in here. So go ahead and take a seat, because I'm going to read to you about this new 4K transfer. Now, here's what it says about it. It says, a new 4K restoration of the 35mm inner positive. So this is not, apparently, the original camera negative for this film, and I believe all of the films, is gone. They can't find it, so they have to use the inner positive. Now, the inner positive is one that already has the color correction and all that baked into it. The good thing about that is they can't change the color timing really without messing it up too much. A lot of times, if they have the original color negative, original camera negative, they can do more with the color timing. Here, they can't do that much with it because it's already baked in. And so what they've presented here, and the only option is where they've upgraded this to 4K. They've taken the inner positive, which is a good picture. It's the second best option, but if you don't have the original camera negative, but without having to re-edit the whole friggin' thing, which is probably not ever going to happen. But then here they've it looks fairly solid. I think that this is an indie movie, like I was saying, but it looks, I mean, it holds up fairly well as far as the way that it looks for an 80s film. The only time I've seen this, I did watch it on Amazon or something like that, streaming at one point, and I did watch it, and even then I didn't think it looked that bad, but this is definitely an uptick from seeing that. You do see a lot more clarity, there's a lot more information as far as when you see the people's faces and things of that nature. You see a pretty good bit of detail. There is, the film grain here is quite there, but it is nicely preserved, and it all looks fairly organic. Now, there are a pretty good bit of exterior night scenes in this film, and they look friggin' terrific, especially in 4K. Now, you do have a lot of times there'll be a lot of like kind of fog in the scenes, like from fog machines, and the deep background is often lit up. Like if you see here, so the way it's like kind of lit up here, and then so it really makes that fog stick out, and those look really good. And really, all the exterior night stuff looks pretty clear. You don't see a lot of noise in the darker areas. I think all that looks fairly fantastic, and it does have a nice feel. Even there's a lot of daytime scenes too, and it all out in the woods at this camp area. That all looks very pleasing to the eyes, and it's the counselors wear these kind of blue shirts with the name of the camp on them, and there's a lot of cool like scenes in the rec area and things of that nature, and in the cabin. So I think that it has a nice ambient feel to the whole film, and I think it really captures the camp essence, other than, like, you know, you don't want to have, you know, you don't want to get killed while you're at camp, but it does capture all that really nicely. So let's talk about the special features real quick here. Now there's 3 new special features. There's Return to Sleepaway Camp 2, looking at the making of the film with counselor Jeff Hayes, who is the author of Sleepaway Camp. He's the author of this book about the Sleepaway Camp movies, and so there's an interview with him on there. I did watch it. It was fairly informative. Apparently he's very knowledgeable about the production of the movies. And then there is an interview with an actor, Brian Patrick Clark. Now he's a great character here. He plays one of the counselors. He has this mullet. He's got like blonde hair and a mullet, and he looks hilarious. He's got a pretty good bit of screen time here, and he gives a good interview. I watched it, and I thought that he was very informative. It talks about his experience with the movie and why he decided to do it and things of that nature. And freaking great guy, though, as far as I can tell from the interview. And there's also an interview with, like I said before, the special effects makeup artist, and that is very informative about the special effects. There's a lot of other legacy special features on here that were included with the other Scream Factory Blu-ray. Now, this one is only 4K, and like I said before, and so all the special features are on the 4K disc. Now, often with these sets, when they have a 4K and a Blu-ray, all the special features are on the Blu-ray only. But here they're all together on this 4K disc. I do want to say that the rest of the cast here is a delight. Most of them, I hadn't seen them in other things, but they're a very young cast of you know, there's got some counselors as well, but most of them, you got a very young cast of different young women and young men. Renee Estevez plays the final girl, Molly Nagel. Now, she is Emilio Estevez's and Charlie Sheen's sister, but she does a very good job as the final girl. But really, all of the women in here, most of them end up being victims, they're all very delightful, and so are the guys who play there's also there's separated like male and female like campsites, but the guys are great as well. I think everybody was seeming like they were having a fun time being in the film and getting slaughtered. And that's something about Pamela Springsteen's performance here. It's quite amusing to me, is that she's often very calm after she kills somebody, and she usually just reverts back to her camp persona, whether it be a happy or like the camp authoritarian figure who wants to make sure everybody's behaving and doing what they're supposed to do. And she'll often just be hanging out by herself playing guitar, like nothing's going on, and she's not like trying to figure out what to do with the dead body. It's like she's already done it, or she's not trying to figure out who she might be killing next. She's just chilling, you know, just like, and she often seems like she wants to be part of the group. She wants to be part of the girls, as long as the girls do what they're supposed to be doing. And it's a fairly, I don't think maybe she's schizophrenic. It's not necessarily played that way, but maybe, I mean, it's more played for comedy in general. But maybe it is sort of that schizophrenic like snap, and she doesn't seem like she cares that she killed people. She's not worried about getting caught. And you think that she would be, especially with how many people that she ends up killing during the course of the film. Now let's go ahead and rate this film. I'm going to rate the movie on a scale from 1 to 5, 1 being the lowest and 5 being the highest. I'm going to give Sleepaway Camp 2 a 3.5-star rating. I really enjoyed this film. I thought it was a lot of fun. I would recommend watching it. And it's one you could probably watch again if it doesn't gross you out too much. Now there's one death in here where this one girl, she's like the girl the Angela character doesn't like more than any of the others, and she stabs her in the back a couple times, and she drags her into the porta potty and shoves her down into it, and then she's trying to crawl. It's friggin' disgusting, but that happens in this film. As far as what Scream Factory has done here, I'm tempted to give them only 3.5 stars, but I'm going to bump it up to 4 because I do like the transfer and I do like the special features. I'm a little disappointed there's not a Blu-ray included in this disc. That would have really bumped it up to 4.5 for me. But the fact that there's not a Blu-ray disc in here, I don't know. I don't like that too much. I do want to show you this other poster here. Now, this is upside down, but this is another poster that comes with this bundle if you buy it off of Scream Factory's site. Now, this has both the artwork for 3 and 2, like the alternate artwork. Now this poster does not fit in the standard frame, otherwise I would have had it up in the background during this whole time. Anyway, if you've seen Sleepaway Camp 2, let me know your thoughts on it, and let me know your thoughts on this new 4K UHD release from Scream Factory. And if you haven't done so already, if you would like this video, and you see this right here, now go ahead and click on that, and you'll see another review video I've done recently, another Scream Factory review video. Click on that thing, and it'll bring you directly to it. I'm Dave Watkins, Watkins Films. Thanks for watching.